Good evening. Tonight I thought I'm going to make a slightly different video, and it has to do with a letter we got in the mail, and I will get to this in a little bit. First of all, I just wanted to add something to the video from yesterday, the theoretical video with the sprockets and the whole timing chain issue and everything else. I talked to Mercedes-Benz today again, and again, the oil is extremely important because the tensional pressure is 99% oil pressure. And as thinner your oil is less the tensioner is going to work. And this was part of my problem. This is not the problem why the Fabi tensioner failed, but it lowers the overall tension on the chain and you will get a rattle noise. That's what I'm having now with the new chain and the new tensioner. When you start the car up and until there's some oil in it. Well, anyway, when I get the 10 weight 40, that will disappear basically. So that issue is basically resolved. But the oil is extremely important in this, and you have to follow the guidelines in terms of the weight of the oil and the viscosity of what they recommend. Otherwise, this tensioner will not develop the full pressure against the chain, and the chain will cha-ching around in the whole crankcase. And that's to that part. Now I wanted to add another thing here which I thought about. There is a fellow, I don't know what his name is or where he's located, but he did a fairly good video on YouTube on how to replace a timing chain in the rails and the tensioner on a 450 SL. And there's a big difference between the 450 SL or 450 engine, the older engines, and the newer ones, and that has to do with the tension rail, because he has one of these knockout pins where you screw into the pin and then you can basically pull it out. This thing what they came up with here is a little bit different. Now let me just show you this real quick here. The tension rails between the M116 engines or the I think the cast iron and the aluminum engines, they had different tensioners. You see, the B1 is this shape here, which is very different. This is the one you're gonna find in your aluminum engine. The B1 was the one, I believe, that was the 116.98 and the 117.98 engines, and the other ones, this one here is on the 9.6 and the 116 for both of them. They both use the same liner, but they look very different. So make sure when you get the part that you get the correct tensioner with this. So when you look at this, make sure that they're identical, not that you accidentally put the wrong one in there and you're gonna have a heck of a problem with it. That there can be a confusion with the part number. So make sure you get the correct tensioner replaced. And then just here, that guide pin sits underneath this bolt. This bolt has to come out. There's 3 bolts in this vicinity. This is your alternator basically. This is the older style alternator. The newer one you have to remove to probably get there because it is going to be in there. And here comes now the thing 6. The cant bearing pin of tension rail with a bolt M9 or screwdriver and pull out. Now there is no thread in this pin. They say here the bearing pin is hollow, inner diameter 8.8 millimeter, which means an 8 millimeter screw, M8 screw, will slide in, and a floating fit, light sliding fit in the crankcase and timing case cover. So is the theory. So what they mean is you stick in a M8 bolt and you angle then the bolt, you basically twist it into position, and then you start pulling that, hoping that the threads grab on the inside, and that should pull the pin out. That works. I don't know. I've done this before, and well, on some engines it's easier, on other engines it's more difficult. If you have a hard time getting this out, one of the remedies is to use a 5/16 bolt, which is smaller than an M8 bolt, not much, and put some JB weld on the bolt and let the bolt sit until the JB weld has hardened. Order, before any of these pin removals, I would suggest to order the pins when you order the rails. Because if something goes wrong during the removal of those, say like you get them cross-threaded or what have you, you know, they bend or they have a hard time coming out and they get damaged or what have you, then you're gonna not be able to get them back in. And that's true for the other pins which you usually use the tool for. They're using an impact puller on it. I have the Baum tool, which basically drives them out. And this is 2 pins here, 2 pins here, and 2 pins here. So you have to buy 6 pins. And on the M117 engine, the pin is 46 millimeters long. These ones here, and they cost like $8 a piece. But I always order them extra with it because this will make this easier, like I said. And those are threaded. So those ones you screw in the screw and then you pull on them, or you have that puller which pulls them out. They have a pretty tight fit. They go in very hard. I think that was the 2 things I wanted to mention. The purpose of my channel primarily is to make videos of the topics or issues left out on other videos. So it is like a supplement to this, what is already available on YouTube. I was not really interested in becoming very famous here, setting up a channel and getting millions of followers. This was not my goal. My goal primarily was to provide additional information which may be missing on other websites or other YouTube videos. In this way you can get a better overview of the task at hand to see if you want to do this or if you don't want to do this and have this done by a repair shop, by someone more professional. That was just the 2 things I wanted to put in there with the oil and the tensioner, that is an issue. The thicker the oil, the more pressure you will get against the chain, the rail, or the tension rail, and that hence will tight the chain in better. If the oil is too thin, like in my case with 0.30 at these temperatures what we have, then you're gonna have slack in there and the chain is gonna make a cha-ching noise when you start it. It doesn't do much, it just bounces around a little bit until the oil pressure is completely built up and that thing is filled with oil. But you can avoid this by just using thicker engine oil. That is only if it works right. Now we go to something else. Whoops, now I was too fast here. We want to start here. Of course, you know, I haven't eaten the wisdom by the bucketful either. It was more like spoon feeding and a lot of trial and error in my life with working on cars and that stuff. I don't do very much, but I have done quite a bit. And I like YouTube. And these are some of the companies or the people I follow or I have subscribed to their channels. And the first one, I have done 2 browsers. This one here is now all the German websites since I'm bilingual. And I just wanted to show them to you. The first one is Motorenzimmer. His name here is Pierre, and he is in Lower Saxony, I think outside of Hanover, where he does his job. And he originated out of the race environment as a engine mechanic or engine technician. And he is an expert in all the newer styles, say like from M119 on upward to today's engine, and specialized in AMG, overhaul, repair, and everything else. So I'm pretty much updated here. And he shows the videos of the cars of his customers, of what they got and what engine problems they have, and this, that, and the other thing, and the repairs of them too, of what needs to be done, the things to look at. And it is mind-boggling. He had I think a 7-liter engine, AMG in there. I forgot which one it was. It wasn't an M119. With 700 horsepower, 7 liters, 700 horsepower, 1,000 Newton meters. That engine cost 105,000 euros. You have to just melt that on your tongue. 105,000 euros for an engine. And so he is the absolute authority, I would think, if it comes to engine repairs on extreme high performance engines. He does very little on regular Mercedes-Benz. They do now and then, but the primary thing is the AMG stuff. And so I'm following him because you get a lot of technical information there on these high-end engines, which probably most of us never see except in a video. The next one, that is a good one here, is Lota. Lota Car of Car Classics. And Lota is located about 15-20 miles from where I grew up. And he is an expert on Mercedes-Benz cars in general. And his main thing is he applies or fits out or retrofits the cars or protects the cars with this grease stuff, with that fat they got, and that is called Mike Sandus fat. That is what they're using over there. And they're basically taking all the rocker panels off and this, that, and the other thing, and they spray this in every cavity. And then that rust protects the car. And he also, of course, does maintenance and repair on these vehicles, pretty much everything, the older ones, the newer ones, and everything in between. And he doesn't do anything but Mercedes-Benz. So does Pierre of Motor and Zimmer. He does nothing but Mercedes-Benz. The next one is Mozart Car Classics over in Germany. I'm not quite sure exactly where they're located. And the fellow with the head in these, I forgot his name now. His dog's name is Kansas. I know that. Kind of funny because I usually say, with many greetings from Kansas, where I'm at, when I leave a comment. And then he said, oh, yeah. And they're also model railroad fans. They have an N-scale railroad, and I'm into HO scale model trains, so we have some commonalities. They buy cars, I guess, auction wherever they can get them, and they basically do a complete overhaul to a better extent, and then they sell them. That's their business, and they have very interesting projects, and these cars come in a variety of different shapes and conditions. Some of them are better, some of them are worse, and they're updating this. It's a very, very interesting channel. Mozart Car Classics. And then the next one, and I forgot his name too, but he is extremely knowledgeable, and he is in Lower Swabia, close to the Bavarian border, on the what would that be, the southeast end of the Lake Constance. You can see a picture of him. I don't know what his name actually is now. He is very knowledgeable. He owns 560 SL, an R107, and he brought that car over from the United States back to Germany. There's quite a few people who are doing this. And so he documented the repairs and what he's doing to his car and some other SL cars from his friends in that area down there in Allgäu, I believe it is. Very interesting fellow. And then the other one is the Autodoktoren, the car doctors. Now they're somewhere around Cologne in Westphalia. And that is a regular, both guys own their own repair shop of these two. They are master craftsmen. They got master certificates of their trade, so they can run the shop and they can do all sorts of stuff. And they service all vehicles. And what they do is they have their viewers. You can see this. They have over 500,000 subscribers in Germany. They have their viewers mail in the failed parts they bought, like from Fabi and other companies. And they're putting them up, what to buy and what not to buy in the beginning, and then they usually show on what cars they're working on, what problems they have, and then all the diagnostic tools they use today in today's car. And the quality of these cars, since it's all newer stuff, say like 2010 and better, what they're working on for the better part, it is just unbelievable on how this has deteriorated. and how shitty the stuff gets, whether it is Volkswagen or Fiat or any of the other car companies. You can't really buy a new car. Once you watch this channel, you got basically enough of any kind of new car buying experience whatsoever. Timing chain failures after 15,000 miles and this, that, and the other thing, and it goes on and on and on. And everything is plastic, and I mean, it is just horrendous. This gives you, so these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 German YouTube channels I watch if it comes to cars, just to get an overall. Mercedes, then of course, Mozart Car Classics also, let me just say that they also deal only with Mercedes-Benz. And then the Autodoktoren, that is the car doctors, they do everything. But those are the ones, so I stay abreast and I get new information too. And now we're in America. These are the American channels. I'm pretty sure that you have seen this guy. This is Kent Bergsma of Mercedes Source, and I've talked to him on a few occasions, or emailed, and his daughter is primarily running the office. Kaia is her name. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I have bought several of his tools, whether it is the brake pressurized bleeding system, the test equipment for the injectors. I mean, he got so many neat tools at a reasonable price that I went quite a bit out and I loaded up my shop, and I bought some parts from him too. And he has quite a few videos, instructional videos, which show a lot of stuff which is not in there in the manuals. The manuals just basically show you where what is to a better extent and give you a sequence on how to do it. But the actual know-how on how to do it, that is something you have to learn from someone else who does it. So that is Kent Bergsma, our number one guy, and he is also related to this letter I got here, but we will get there in a minute. The next one is Pierre Hidari, I believe. That's how you pronounce his last name. Highly knowledgeable fellow for all the older cars, and he knows this whole business inside out with all of the 108s and 111s and when, you know, whatever's out there, 126s, forwards and backwards. So this is always an interesting channel. He covered a lot of topics. So if you're trying to find some information, that is a good source to go to. The next one is Gary Ferraro of AAA1 Transmission out in Long Island. And I talked to, he's right down here. Gary is a real nice guy. I spent like a half an hour on the phone with him because of some of the transmission issues I'm having, which is not much. And Gary guided me through there. And if I need to get my transmission rebuilt, that is the guy I'm going to go with, because when you watch the teardowns of the transmissions related to 126s and other cars, Mercedes, he does all of them, but he is really good with the Mercedes ones. He is very, very detailed and meticulous on how he does it. And so that is my transmission guy here, basically, in the United States. And then we got Straymenses, if you haven't seen this one yet. His name is Ralph, and he is from Germany too. And Ralph has made a whole bunch of little videos on the Benzes he owns and what he repairs, and he has a lot of knowledge here. He is, looks like a real crowd. No, I shouldn't say that. That's probably inappropriate in our political correct times anyway, from one crowd to another. I can say that probably. And so he got a lot of nice things, small little tips for this, that, brakes, and this, the other thing. So if you need basic information on how to do a job, I would look Straymenses up. And, you know, you can find a lot of good stuff on his channel there too. And here comes now the oddball of anything and everything. Monkey Wrench Mike. I have no clue who turned this guy loose. I have no idea where he came from. And we got now this dude down there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who got a whole bunch of Benzes in his driveway, and he's working on them, and I think one Beamer. And boy, he sure is funny. He is a news anchor for one of the local TV stations in Tulsa, and he was before that, I believe, in Oklahoma City with Fox News. And then he parted there a couple years ago or what have you, and he went back to Tulsa where he started out in the broadcasting business. And the reason why we got this here is because good old Monkey Wench Mike sent me a letter. Here it is, Mike Brooks, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's see what we got in here. Let's see if I can open a letter with one hand. And, well, I got it started. Let's see if we can get the knife in here. Oops. Boy, I better don't film this. I do not know how people work these things with the cameras, and they can do everything. And I got it open. We got it open. All right, Mikey, this is for you. Let's see what Mikey Winch sent us. Yep. I like his channel for one. It is very entertaining the way he does it. And it's a thank you. See this? Isn't that sweet? Monkey Wench Mike. He says, Peter, thanks for watching my YouTube channel and for all your support. Enjoy the sticker. Monkey Wench Mike. We will. I do not know yet, Mike, where I'm going to put the sticker, but it will find a good place. I have no idea yet, but I thought I'm going to get it. And Mike, I have to say one thing. For him being a non-technical person as a news anchor, he is pretty handy, and he has guts to get into the stuff he's getting into. You know, not having a technical background, I have an engineering background in electronics. Like I said, I worked for Mercedes-Benz at the headquarters in the engine manufacturing in Untertürkheim for quite a while back in the late 80s. So I have an in-depth knowledge not just of the cars or the engines, but also of the internal workings at Mercedes-Benz, at least on how it used to work. I don't know how it goes now. And I have to say, he got a lot of balls, this guy, to go in there with this background. Most people probably would run for cover with most of this. This is something I'm seeing too, is when you have these channels where they have a lot of subscribers, is probably, I would say 1 or 2% probably would do this with what they're actually watching, or they're engaged in it, you know, repairing their own cars besides of doing an oil change further down. Most people, they probably watch this for entertainment, no matter what channel it is, if it's car-related repairs and stuff like this. But if it comes to it, they're probably going to solicit a car mechanic, a professional, to do this kind of stuff. Especially when you start talking timing chains and head covers, you know, head overhaul, cylinder head overhaul, rebuilding, and this kind of stuff. When it gets really into it, that would what I would guess, you know. Again, in my channel here is just to fill in the bits and pieces, to give you more in-depth information of what I got here, and maybe it can help you on your projects to make a determination if you're going to do it or not, or if you do it, can give you some more input on how to do it and whether not doing it, you know, and save yourself time, money, and headaches, you know. But thank you again, Monkey Wench Mike. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I will keep watching your channel, and we like your channel. That goes for me too. As they say is, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell so you get the notices, and like everything. That's what they're telling you. Anyway, you have a great night.